From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan the Tennessee Pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. And guys, I gotta tell you, if you've been reading the news, do you feel some of it is strange?
Maybe just a handful of stories.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt, because hopefully all our fellow conspiracy realists agree this is indeed our weekly strange news program. If you are listening, the evening it publishes, we have some weird news for you folks just here at the top. Dylan, if we could get like a bittersweet sound cue, a little sadder. Inspiring at the end. Amazing.
Oh.
Perfect. Welcome to September 1st, folks. August 2025 is officially done. It's done so.
Heck yeah. It's also finally kind of fall weather. I think we're in true perma fall, and it's not another fake out fall. It feels glorious outside today.
Yeah, it does feel glorious here in our fair metropolis of Atlanta. You can have a great time walking around. We encourage you to always do, as people have said lately, touch grass, get out there in nature, take a hike, wave to a coyote if you're in Matt's neighborhood, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, we do have to start with a little bit of a sad story and a big thank you to everybody who reported from Burning Man. Guys, things didn't work out at the Orgy Dome.
Oh, man, what could go wrong? I really don't know the answer, guys. This is new to me. What's going on with the Orgy Dome? First of all, what is it? Well, I think it's probably self-explanatory, but what?
It's not an ironic name.
Got it.
It is, yeah.
Before you get into it and what it is, I'm looking at an article from the Mirror, Ben and Noel, and here's the title. Burning Man Orgy Dome requires a lot of preparation involving wet wipes and gloves.
And maybe some lube.
And maybe they should have focused on the structure. Now, look, we're an audio podcast currently. So in full disclosure, I did have to use a mustache for some other things recently. I do associate mustaches with sleazy guys from the 70s. This is not a permanent thing. So please don't think facial hair on our side is any way related to the notorious Orgy Dome of Burning Man. As Matt said, this does require some preparation, consent being key in that preparation. And it's one of the most well-known attractions at Burning Man. For anybody who doesn't know, Burning Man is the infamous flagship of things that are called burns across various parts of the globe, where people get together. And originally, they focused on community art, self-expression, self-reliance, rejection of capitalism, things of that nature. Burning Man, as the big ticket item, is a week-long desert event out in the middle of nowhere in the western United States. And its name comes from I think the second to last night of the week, where they burn a huge effigy, Wicker Man style, right? That's why they call it Burning Man.
How's that rejection of capitalism going? It seems like it's a real hot spot for top dogs in the capitalist universe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, our ketamine, microdosing, tech bros. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of criticism of the main big tent Burning Man endeavor because it is often seen as falling to the wayside of its original mission. However, since the beginning of Burning Man as a concept, they've been very into something they call the Orgy Dome, which is just what Just what it says on the tin, folks. Burning Man, due to its location since 1990, it's been in a place called Black Rock City in northwestern Nevada. A lot of people are familiar with other semi-off-the-grid things like rainbow gatherings are already going to know about Burning Man and regional burns. The Orgy Dome encountered disaster just this August because it was destroyed by high winds right as the big Orgy Dome event began.
Oh, man.
I know.
An entire...
Can you imagine?
Thousands of people with blue balls. It's just the worst.
Right.
I've got a quote here from the Mirror, that same article. This is from a first-time visitor who talked to Cosmopolitan, who was surprised by how long the line was to get in the Orgy Dome. And this is, I guess, before anything happened.
Before the winds really got him, yeah.
Yeah. Before the winds on the interior of the dome begin to kick up. You know what I mean? Because of all the activity. Here's the quote. It's like the DMV. You get a number, then you talk to one guy and take a test on the rules, then you wait some more. And then she said the best part about it is the air conditioning. Yeah,
and that originally was not the case. That was not always the case. If we go to the Orgy Dome's official social media, which is on Instagram, named in a burst of creativity, Orgy Dome, all one word. We see the following statement from 2 days ago as we record on August 27th, 2025. Quote, our build team worked so hard this past week to erect our lovely space. Unfortunately, the winds yesterday undid all that labor and wrecked our structure. We are still here and thankfully safe. We hope to gift the playa some workshops and we'll keep you updated. So the more conservative conspiracy theory here is that God finally had enough.
Well,
yeah.
Did you know one of the...
Well, let's not bring God into this, y'all. Come on.
Well, or
everybody's welcome at the Dome, man.
The president on the board of directors of the Orgy Dome is named Tom, a.k.a. Baby Jesus.
Nominative determinism, perhaps.
What's his last name? Just out of curiosity so we can say the whole thing.
Nobody knows. Tom's been going to Burning Man since 2013, joined the camp in 2018, and he's currently the lead of communications committee there.
Tom Baby Jesus McGillicuddy. We're just going to use our imagination.
Why not? And so with that, we're let's give you again, we love a primary source, so let's give you some statements from the comments for our friends at Orgy Dome. Quote, that's Jesus Christ saving people from STDs. Upwards of 5,000 likes. Imagine sliding a metal frame together with a tarp and calling it hard work. Favorite one. I guess the wind came first. Don't worry, it happens.
Can I just clarify real quick? Is this an official Orgy Dome?
Yes.
Or is it just okay? Interesting, because I guess it's not illegal to have orgies, is it?
If people are consenting, no. Not yet.
It's so funny. I guess I'm just sort of like puritanical washed by just living in this very, kind of prudish society that just seems remarkably weird to me that is, just advertised. But why, if it's going to be advertised somewhere, why not Burning Man? And, speaking of God intervening, what if wouldn't Burning Man and all of this be sort of a Sodom and Gomorrah type situation potentially for God to smite all of these desert dwelling sinners in one fell swoop? He'd also take out some of the top CEOs on the planet as well. Interesting thought.
Stuff to think about. And speaking of weird, we have so much more stuff to get to. We got to talk about the Ghislaine Maxwell update and all the fallout there. There's some exciting science coming out of Japan. Not to sound like a broken window there. There are some, of course, aviation shenanigans. There's a cartel we wanted to mention. There's some widespread surveillance. And what about this, guys? Can we take a break for a word from our sponsors and then talk about the latest failed coup attempt?
Well, that sounds
by
fun.
all means.
And we have returned. Breaking news and unfortunate breaking news just published today as we're recording, the early morning ET time. The Danish foreign minister has summoned the top U.S. diplomat in Copenhagen to get some answers. You see, guys, it turns out that American nationals linked to the current presidential administration have attempted to pull something our Russian friends and our company friends have done time and time again in the past. These guys wanted to infiltrate Greenland, and they wanted to run covert influencing operations there, with the goal being for the United States to take possession of Greenland as either a territory or a 51st state. Now, before we continue, can we recap real quick, like where this story came from and how Greenland became this bauble or holy grail?
I just remember the president floating this idea of doing this thing, and it was met with skepticism, maybe to say the least, and irritation, perhaps. What was the deal? Why? Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's such an odd thing to flex with, why Greenland?
Yeah. The issue there is that the current U.S. president has repeatedly sort of floated the idea of the U.S. taking possession of Greenland for, well, they'll save security for the U.S., but really it's because this is a resource-rich territory. Everybody check out our earlier episode, years back, guys, on the race to control the Arctic. Remember that? As the ice coverage was disintegrating, continues to do so.
The Arctic also being a hotspot, no pun intended, for science, right? And there's a lot of, mutually agreed upon kind of little science fiefdoms there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, this was already an issue of great concern to the Boffins. And if you look at the maps, it's similar to the East Asian sphere. When you ask each country how much water or how much ocean territory they control, you get very different answers. When you ask all the countries limiting the rim of the Arctic as a region, you will get widely different answers on what portion of that they think they control. And they're looking for rare earth minerals. They're looking for fossil fuels, of course, eternally. They're also looking low-key for some new biological organisms. To your point about science, wild stuff. And to be completely honest and fair, the current presidential administration has not ordered some invasion of Greenland, has not declared that there will be a war of any sort, or what did our buddy Vlad call it? A special military operation?
So special. And also, like, biological organisms in the Arctic, we're talking about like the Thing type scenario. Like, this is very interesting to me. Sorry, maybe a topic for another day, but such a special military operation.
I'm with you. I hope so. I hope we find something interesting. But the issue here is that Greenland is semi-autonomous. But if you ask the United Nations, Greenland is under Denmark. And Denmark is not happy about this. So our buddy Lars Løkke Rasmussen, the foreign minister we mentioned earlier, he said, look, we're aware of what we call foreign interest in Greenland. And we are not surprised that there were influence attempts from our buddies across the pond at this. And this is very bad for the U.S. because coups and disinfo campaigns happen all the time. It's just embarrassing to get caught doing that.
I was wondering, like, what does Greenland make? What are their exports? And as you could maybe imagine, 90% of its export are fishing exports, shrimp and halibut. And apparently their economy currently relies heavily on Danish subsidies.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
I was not aware of.
Because it is property of the Kingdom of Denmark,
Right.
I suppose, in large part, which Denmark is a NATO ally or a NATO member, which means
Article 5.
Yeah, it would be such an issue, like such a crazy thing to try and do. I always imagined all the public statements by whatever administration, no matter what country they're from, talking about taking over Denmark, whether it's the United States or Russia, is just bluster, or I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would make any sense to actually take action there.
It's an odd flex. It's just weird.
Well, here's how we do it. We might lose a couple stories just to discuss this and get this in the public. I do think it's important. The way you do it is you don't have a bunch of tanks and air support roll in.
Right.
What you do instead is send in some folks to clock and identify thought creators, thought leaders, as corporate America would say. And that's what was allegedly happening here. This has not gone to a court case.
So an information war to win hearts and minds?
Hearts and minds. Yes.
Okay.
That's why we use this phrase so often. That's why I'm using it now. So there is, as we know, at least 3 people, possibly U.S. nationals, we're being very careful about this, who came to Greenland, and at least one of them did the textbook company stuff, compiled a list of U.S.-friendly Greenlanders, and then compiled a dark list, a bad list of people who were opposed to the current U.S. administration, and then looked for ways to further propagandize Denmark as mismanaging the affairs of Greenland, which is a very big deal because Greenland, in the nature of their relationship with Denmark, Greenland is autonomous for its internal affairs. Denmark's agreement is that if anybody in the wide world bugs you, our buddies, the Danes, are going to run interference. Our buddies, the Danes, are in charge of foreign affairs, right? Stuff that happens elsewhere that might affect Greenland.
And also, we'll take a nice deal on all that halibut, if you don't mind. Thank you very much.
Yeah. What's that old joke? Someone does something crazy. They murder everybody at a seafood counter, and they say, "Why do you do it? Why did you do that?" And they say, "For the halibut." Da-da-da-da-da.
Whoa.
No joke left behind.
That's a new low.
So this is, and luckily it's not our low. That's a very old joke. Be careful with it. It's an antique.
I actually made that joke the other day because there was halibut on the menu at a restaurant. And I said, let's get it just for the halibut. Just for the yell I get. Just for the smell of it. You want my bod? Here's the hot rod. Sorry, I'm doing a little shoop.
Yeah. Dupe. Yeah. So we don't know how this is going to unfold. Unfortunately, at this point, there is so much going on in the world today that it is quite possible this will miss the news, or this will be, a flash in the pan of Arctic escalations. We do understand, of course, this occurs in step with a long history of other attempted and failed coups tied to, in particular, the Russian, the French, and the American governments. We previously discussed briefly a while back some failed coup attempts on the behalf of American nationals in Venezuela, for instance.
Well, and shout out to the podcast you wrote, Ben. Let's Start a Coup, if you want to learn more about how that's done.
Oh, geez. Thank you so much, Noel. With our pal, Alex French, good friend of the show, and our good friends at School of Humans. Also, shout out to, you just said this off mic, Robert Evans, who helms the wonderful podcast Behind the Bastards, It Could Happen Here, a ton of other things. They have a new show out that I love called Weird Little Guys.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, there may well be a little crossover with the Weird Little Guys coming down the pike one of these days.
That would be fun.
Yes. Hope springs eternal. We want to end on, for this part, we want to end on some good news. Do you guys want history good news or science good news?
I got some science good news coming in my segment, so maybe history good news?
something. Gosh, what is there a group,
Dealer's
like
choice, Ben, whichever one you're most passionate about.
Oh, sure.
Is there a specific group of bad guys that might be coming up again?
You know what's funny? That applies to both stories.
Is it the Foot Clan? Are we seeing the rise of the Foot?
The rise of the Foot. We trusted Foot Locker all along, and they were the fifth foot column.
The foot front. Yes, exactly.
Let's do this. It's about a group of people who, up till recently, were historically regarded as very bad, with reason. So we were talking on Ridiculous History not too long ago about the idea of Indiana Jones, right? The idea that certain things belong in a museum. And as every fan of post-World War II historical fiction is well aware, the National Socialist Party of Germany, aka the Nazis, did a lot of bad stuff. As our pal Norm Macdonald used to say, the more I learn about this Hitler guy, the less I like him.
Yeah, not a good dude.
Not. I wanted to do a joke, but no, he's just a beat me or Dylan piece of shit. You don't even have to beat me on that one. So we know that ever since the atrocities committed by the Nazi Party in Germany, along with the assistance of the Axis powers, there have been untold treasures stolen, secreted away, right? Some may still be hidden in parts of Eastern Europe. We did a little bit of research on that. Some may still be in the hands of private collectors or indeed secreted away in certain Swiss banking institutions or hidden through the rat lines in parts of South America. Looking at you, Argentina and Chile. The good news is that 80 years ago, the Nazi Party, in the Commission of Genocide, they looted a bunch of paintings and a bunch of priceless artwork, sculptures, frescoes, again, paintings. In particular, there was a Jewish art dealer in Amsterdam, and the Nazis stole a bunch of stuff from this guy. He had, again, committed no crime except for his identity. We fast forward, right? World War II was so long ago for the humans. There is a real estate agent who is selling a house in Argentina, and in the advertisement for this house this person is selling, you can see Portrait of a Lady by Giuseppe Gislandi, which is hanging above a sofa inside a really nice house near Buenos Aires that was once owned by a senior Nazi official who made it to South America after the Second World War. People have been looking for this forever. It is on a database of lost wartime art. And when this Nazi official's daughter put the house up for sale, a couple of people who still had their eyes on this stolen art said, hang on. This is a conspiracy afoot. This is what happened. We're reporting this with great thanks to Tom MacArthur from BBC News. This came out just yesterday as we're recording. It's an issue because whatever Argentinian government's post-World War II activities were, they did eventually become a signatory to an international agreement to help trace these stolen treasures and this stolen artwork. There's a second piece that was discovered on the sister of the former owner's social media. But before we get to that, guys, what do you think should happen?
Yeah. Who should it be returned to? Is that the question? Like what museum perhaps, or what country? Is it about the country of origin perhaps? Yeah, I don't know, but I don't have enough information, I don't think.
It should certainly be in a museum and not in somebody's house for sale.
Yeah, no doubt. Ben, what's that indie line that you love to do?
It belongs in a museum.
Damn right.
Right.
Thank you.
And thank you for the alley-oop there, man. This is a thing that is tricky, to your point, Noel, because it was created by one of what we would call the old masters. Shout out to W.H. Auden. But it also was stolen.
Yeah.
In the commission of genocide, to be clear, trying to delete from the books of history an entire people. You can't imagine everybody just shrugging and saying, okay, we'll let this conspiracy go, right?
Let's send it back to Germany and make them give it back to somebody else.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I like that. There's some poetry to it. We also have some descriptions from, weirdly enough, this is talking to some Dutch news programs. We have descriptions and interviews with some of the family members. Now, of course, these kids could not choose their parents any more than anybody else. But one of the sisters involved said, quote, "I don't know what information you want from me, and I don't know what painting you're talking about." So how many paintings are there? Right?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, man. I hope I didn't miss this detail. This is an individual speaking about this, like how this thing ended up in their collection.
This is more a very well-to-do family saying that they don't know what painting the
How can we
public
possibly
and the
keep track?
authorities.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
A legendary Italian painting of a Contessa? You're going to have to be a little more specific.
Yeah. You're referring to my Caravaggio or no, exactly. Portrait of a Lady. That's obviously a title that gets thrown around in other works, right? I mean, I feel like there's like works of period fiction that carry that name. Maybe I'm thinking Portrait of a Lady on Fire. That's the thing. Interesting. Yeah, because when you said that, I immediately was like, well, surely that's like a well-known painting that exists in a museum already. But that is a pretty basic name, isn't it? It is a Portrait of a Lady.
Now, I want to help you, but could you tell me again which Fabergé egg in particular?
You know the one that's shaped like a carriage that has a hidden matryoshka egg inside. Again,
if you could just be a little more specific and scope in, I'll try to get the help to look through the vault. That's where we're kind of at with this. We've got a lot more to get to. The story that we didn't cover is Exciting Science. The world's first behavior transplant between species has been achieved. Maybe we get to that next week. For time here, we're going to pause for a word from our sponsors, and we'll return with more of our weekly Strange News segment.
And we've returned. We are jumping to July 30th for this story, going way back. A lot has happened, for sure.
Still 2025.
Yeah, very correct. Yes. We're going to talk about International Paper Incorporated and a bunch of other companies. Oh, let's talk about that. Packaging Corporation of America, International Paper Company, Smurfit Westrock, Kappa North America, West Rock CP, Georgia Pacific, Cascades Incorporated, Cascades USA, and the Holding US, Pratt Industries, Graphic Packaging International, and Greif, Greif Incorporated. These are a bunch of companies. And what they do is they manufacture stuff like paper pulp.
I'm so sorry, Matt. I was on mute. I just have to say, Greif Incorporated? Is that real?
It's probably like Greif it's a different.
Sounds like it'd be like a funeral home cartel or something. I'm sorry. It just struck me as odd. Please carry on.
All I know is they're incorporated and they create paper pulp and other things that are, and they also manufacture things like corrugated cardboard and very specific packaging.
Matt, you mentioned this the other day.
Yeah, mentioned it last week.
I did.
Cardboard.
I just brought it up as in like, hey, there's a thing going on. Well, we're going to talk about it because this kind of sucks. And it's way bigger than even this class action lawsuit that's being filed and we're going to talk about is. Let's jump to this story. This comes to us from Reuters via Mike Scarella, maybe. Again, on July 30th, 2025. International Paper and other cardboard makers hit with U.S. price-fixing class action lawsuit. So all of those people, all those companies and corporations that I just named, including International Paper, they have been accused in this new lawsuit of conspiring to fix prices and inflate prices for key raw materials like that paper pulp that are used to make cardboard boxes and merchandise displays. This is a crazy deal because it's not like they raised them a little bit and it just, the prices are just going up because of inflation, guys. No. Specifically, the lawsuit is saying that these organizations collectively raised prices by 30% overall since late 2020.
Because they're a limited group of suppliers, and just so we know, merchandise displays that we're talking about are something you're going to see every day anytime you go to a physical
hardware store.
Right,
Yeah.
a grocery store. It's the stuff on what we call the end cap, where there's like there's a sturdy cardboard box holding, you know, the stuff that is branded, you know, the
sometimes
new Nabisco,
with the cutout of their spokesperson, right?
Right,
You know, giving the thumbs
new
up.
Nabisco, the brawny towel man, stuff of that nature.
Yeah. And it's everything from pizza boxes. So imagine how many pizza boxes you've seen in your life.
Is the thing that makes it corrugated the little wigglies on the inside,
Yes.
the layers? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Moving boxes. If you ever went to U-Haul before or the Home Depot or any of those places that got boxes, banker boxes, and again, packaging boxes, shipping boxes,
Amazon.
all the boxes. So in your mind, you may think, well, see, 2020, that's around the time pandemic was really in swing. It makes sense because there's so many more boxes in our lives now than there were before that. That's when the Amazon craze thing really began. That's when every company out there that offers goods is giving you that whole, we'll ship it right to your house. Like tomorrow, maybe even. We'll get it to you as fast as we possibly can. Please buy from us. Buy our stuff. Don't go to Amazon, which is because Amazon is dominating everything so hard. It makes sense that prices would go up at least a little bit because demand for all of this cardboard and all of these paper products skyrocketed at that time. And that would make sense. But 30% for paper pulp products, it seems like way too much. So if you jump down to the lawsuit, you can check this out, by the way. You can look it up. The plaintiff in this lawsuit, by the way, or this proposal for a class action lawsuit, is Artuso Pastry Foods Corporation. That is ARTUSO Pastry Foods Corporation. And I don't know how this group and their attorneys figured out that all of these groups somehow uniformly increased their prices, you know, by ticks at the same exact time over all of these times, because it says the manufacturers violated U.S. antitrust law through, quote, numerous unprecedented and unjustified price increases often implemented at the exact same time and for the exact same price increase.
It's the coordination that got them.
Well, yeah, because now nobody can be the person or the corporation you go to get slightly cheaper versions of that thing. It means competition, or the thing that's supposed to drive competition, gets eliminated. And now you just choose somebody. And if there are enough of these groups working together, you can have, let's say, a company like Georgia Pacific that is going to manufacture a whole bunch of products like this, but they're going to focus on certain regions, let's say, of the world or of the United States. And then another big corporation could, let's say, focus in another area, and everybody gets their slice of the pie because, guys, we're in this cardboard pie together, this pizza pie, this box filled with U.S. currency.
Corrugated corruption and conspiracy. You love to see it because also it's such a weird loophole. Here's what plausibly happens. Our pastry company gets this crazy price rise, right? And they know there's a free market. So they go to this other company. And lo and behold, the same thing has occurred. So they go to this third company and jeepers, lo and behold, part 2, Electric Boogaloo. And now they're starting to put the pieces together. It is interesting that it took a corporation to do this because plausibly, here's the insidious very clever ethics aside part, the average individual consumer would not have clocked this.
No, but we'd all notice that prices for everything would be increasing pretty extensively and seem to outpace every other variable that would increase prices. And so you're like, whoa, why is everything so expensive now when I go to the grocery store? Well, guess what? You know what your all the products in the center aisles, you know what those are inside? Cardboard materials. Not necessarily these exact cardboard, container board, liner board, and all that stuff, but very similar products. And if this is happening where this lawsuit is drilling down into these specific paper products, you can only imagine that it's happening across the board in other ways. The cardboard.
I thought it was worth it. We should keep it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But, I think you're absolutely right, Ben, because nobody would be talking about that. Unless somebody, like a General Mills or some huge brand would say, well, we got to increase prices a little bit because our packaging prices have just gone crazy. So,
yeah, I got to tell you, and personal anecdotes, I don't know how helpful they are to the show, but I got to tell you, Matt, this one is really speaking to me because, not to brag or high road anyone, but earlier this morning, I went and bought some toilet paper. That's what it's like at the top. I am a fan of bidets. Shout out to Noel. However, getting that toilet paper, I was astounded by the price increases when I had only been on the road for maybe 2.5 weeks or so, right? And that measurably ticked up. And I think we're just all, as consumers, as again, individual consumers, we're not really clocking the baked in cost. We're clocking the retail price going up. So to your point, it's devilishly easy to not be aware of how those production costs are getting folded in, because the cardboard cartels are not charging you. They're charging the companies that are then passing that cost on to you, just like, I'll say it, tariffs. So I'm thinking of cereal boxes, right? When's the last time anybody bought a box of cereal in a reusable glass container? If you have, write in, because I don't know if that exists.
Yeah, I was so excited back in the day when they introduced the concept of just these plastic giant bags of cereal instead of the little boxes. But then I thought about all the oil involved, and you know what? I never considered glass bottles, glass containers of cereal. That feels like something a wealthy person does, kind of like with a container of whiskey or something, but with the cereal. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's like the main reason I buy pasta sauce is because you get a free glass at the end.
Oh, yeah. Only drink out of Ball products, everybody, and or reused pasta sauce.
That cannot be our parable, Matt.
I only drink out of commemorative McDonald's glasses from the 90s.
Hey,
that's what people say. Yeah,
the ones with the really high cadmium content,
Mm-hmm. The cadmium just makes it pop.
Yeah, gives it a little extra umami.
I'm not kidding you guys when I say it's mostly mason jars here in this house and old pint glasses from when I was in my 20s and I went to a bunch of different like beer fests and things around Atlanta.
I love it. I love the commemorative stuff. Yeah.
It's like stacks of them. 420 Fest, man. Woo,
okay, so that's a great note, by the way, a peek behind the curtain. Folks, no matter what you think about the four of us or the five of us, you listening along at home, please remember, it's great to save money on some nice reusable glassware. Like I don't think any of us are above it unless Dylan sends us an angry message in the chat.
Oh, no.
I don't know that Dylan's ever sent an angry message to anyone in his life, let alone in the chat.
Okay.
Besides the cardboard, folks. He's doing that right now.
That's an off-air revelation into our super producer's personality. Matt, do we know, like this lawsuit is in play right now? There have been no conclusions, or where are we at?
No conclusions yet. This is basically, it's funny if you actually read the document here, looking currently at the Sherman antitrust law from 1890, which is what this lawsuit is based on. Antitrust practices here. Where is it? Here we go. What was filed was a class action complaint demand for jury trial.
Okay.
So right now it's just like, hey, this is going to be a thing. We want a class action lawsuit. And they're saying that there are potentially hundreds of thousands of other corporations, companies, just like Artiso Pastry Foods Corporation. It says them individually and on behalf of all others similarly situated. So anybody that, sells pizza and uses those boxes has to buy those as part of their cost of doing business. And anybody that has end caps, anybody that does any kind of, cardboard packaging whatsoever. Probably U-Haul. U-Haul's going to get in there. They're real upset.
Oh my gosh. Can you wait till the FedEx folks get in on this? They're going to go nuts. As you mentioned, Amazon, the issue here, I think that gives us a lot of sand on the lawsuit is that past a certain threshold of business in the U.S. and indeed abroad, there is no way to find different companies for this. Correct?
Yeah. At least to my knowledge. I'm going to read a little bit more from this Reuters article, and then we'll jump out of this story, guys. It says, price increases in the corrugated box market, quote, drastically outpaced what the lawsuit described as a modest rise in demand over the period covered by the complaint. And as demand fell in recent years, the price increases continued, which is one of the big things here. It's not costing more and more and more and more and more to produce paper pulp, would be the argument. Then why and how could all of these different companies all be increasing their prices in the same way, at the same time, by the same amount? That doesn't seem to match up with any other variables. You can learn a ton more if you look it up. It's pretty simple. Maybe the best thing to search would be cardboard price fixing. Probably that's the best thing. You can see a lot about it. Guys, there's one other story that we're not going to fully talk about here, but you should definitely look it up. There's this company called Flock Safety that we have talked about before on this show. This is a company that specifically has cameras that are all over the place, around 4,000 communities across the United States. These cameras are mounted up everywhere, and they are doing pretty specific thing. They're looking at license plates. They read, scan, check out license plates, and see where everybody goes. Well, for a minute there, they were working with the Department of Homeland Security and the Customs and Border Protection crew there, I guess. And they have decided to stop doing that out of fears of what information they are actually providing, Department of Homeland Security and these other groups like ICE. They're worried about a lot of things, but there's a specific thing that you can look up right now that they're worried about, where a sheriff was looking for a specific woman, and that woman was suspected of, or wanted because she had an abortion in an area where there are now state laws against that. And Flock Safety realized, oh crap, these law enforcement officers can use this technology for anything they want, and not just the stuff that we are attempting to, sell our product and services for.
Including personal stalking, by the way.
Yes. But that's actually kind of good news, because Flock Safety at least appears to be acknowledging that that's a problem and stopping some of the behaviors that were putting, people at risk. So yay, look it up. You can find it on AP News and a bunch of other places. Again, Flock Safety, FLOCK Safety. All right, we'll be right back with more strange news.
And we have returned with the story of drama in the friendly skies, or in this case, maybe the not so friendly skies. And then we're going to follow that up and wrap with a very positive medical story out of Japan. I bring up this Delta airline story, because we are, of course, here in Atlanta, and we all love flying those friendly skies, but they are not immune to situations, as Ben might put it. A male Delta passenger is suing the airline, claiming that he was open-handed slapped by a flight attendant on a Delta flight. A Georgia dad is suing Delta Airlines after he claims a flight attendant slapped him in the face during an altercation provoked by a simple request for his family to be served water, a move his lawyer claims was pure prejudice. This is from the New York Post, which we don't always love, but it seems to be a relatively matter-of-fact report of this incident, at least as in terms of the allegations from this individual named Mohammed Shibili. I think that's right, who, along with his wife and 4-year-old son and 2-year-old son, were on a Delta flight from Atlanta to Fresno, California on July 29th, when his youngest requested water. And as the New York Post puts it, was crying for water. He and his legal team said during a news conference on Tuesday, when the plane took off and flight attendants made their rounds offering refreshments to passengers, the accused attendant allegedly refused to serve Shibili's wife, he told reporters. I'm just going to read the rest of this because it's short. Shibili then got up and went to the back area of the plane to request water, but the same flight attendant allegedly refused again, using a very disrespectful tone with him, he said. He did successfully get water from another attendant who apologized for their coworker. Despite the apologies, the situation escalated, and ultimately, after a back and forth with the accused flight attendant, Shibili claims that she slapped him after she whispered a vulgar word into his ear, prompting him to stand up and launch into some choice words of his own. And then that's when he accuses her of snapping and hitting him in the face, open palm, as hard as she could. There is a somewhat of a twist here. Again, this is just allegedly, but the lawyer went on to cite an alleged incident of discrimination by the airline against Palestinians when last July an ex-user posted 2 photos of Delta flight attendants wearing Palestinian flag pins, which were incorrectly described as Hamas badges during the flights. Yikes, not cool. Prompting a response from the airline. And I mean, not cool in terms of that's obviously incredibly reductive and insulting to refer to them as that. So there is an implication here because of Shibili's nationality or perceived nationality that this represented a pattern of discrimination. At least that's what the lawyers are saying.
Do we know the specific pejorative?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We do not. Just that it was nasty, as it was reported here. The lawyer posed the question, is this a single isolated incident, or is it a platform of clear discrimination against Palestinians? 2, a history of physical violence from Delta employees, and 3, negligent hiring. And this is coming from the lawyer Ali Awad, who claimed the incident was triggered by Shibili's wife's shirt, which had the word Palestine on it. So I'm a little confused about the citing of, like wearing of Palestinian flags by flight attendants as being a negative here. It would seem that that would represent support of Palestinians. So it's a little convoluted in the way this is being reported. But I do want to say that I have an inside scoop on this story. Someone that I've been hanging out with is a flight attendant for Delta and is the one that hit me to the story in the first place and sent me some chatter from some kind of Delta-centric flight attendant forums, which I know that you're aware of, Ben, as well. As I know you have relationships with folks who have worked for that organization as well. And there's a lot of, groups on the internet, communities for folks that are employed by Delta, and I'm sure other airlines. And initially she sent me a report just kind of giving the rundown of the press release and the statement from the lawyer, but then sent me a really interesting screenshot of a thread on another forum. Was on that flight with my wife and 15-month-old daughter. Flight attendant never slapped him. He, in fact, pushed one of the flight attendants. Next, we've got another comment from somebody who was on board. I was waiting on a witness because there is no way no one else saw the incident. He was yelling out that one of the flight attendants called him a bitch, which also never happened. People will do anything for a free check. So it would appear that this is, innocent until proven guilty. This is a bit of a case of manufacturing some false outrage in the hopes of getting a payday. Let's see. There's some really fun takes on Reddit. Passenger slapped by FA thread. This is also on a Reddit Delta thread. So a lot of FA means flight attendant. There's a lot of shorthand that's used by folks in that community. And let's see. Slap? What slap? I didn't see any slap. Anyone else not see a slap? But if there was, and there definitely wasn't because I didn't see anything, a racist piece of is exactly the type of person who would rightfully earn such a thing. Initial reports said that the individual who received the slap used some horrible racist language. That very much appears to not be the case as well. So there's a lot of misinformation swirling around this. But my favorite bit here is, I pray that Delta will realize that the best way to improve the flying experience for 90% of its customers is to permit FA slappings. I would sign away my right to sue Delta if I could fly with a plane full of people who knew that those FAs, arms toned from safety belt demonstrations and hauling drinks carts up turbulent aisles, were a hair trigger away from slapping bad passengers.
Beautiful. Great language to use the word turbulent there.
Absolutely.
As well. A couple levels, right? Turbulence.
No, it's very, very, very good.
Instability.
Very, very good. So the jury is still out on what actually happened here. Another comment here on that forum, they are calling for all Delta employees to receive education and sensitivity training on Palestine and the Palestinian people. Hope Delta rip him and his lawyer a new one. Things like this is how you alienate people from a cause. Initially, I said the same thing that this next user said. I'm sure there's more to the story. Doubt a gal making $100K a year, flight attendants paid very well, and benefits, just randomly slap some random customer in the face. I hope Delta backs her, and if they can prove he was out of line or caused it, bans him for life. And here's the fun part. And by fun, I mean, I guess, symbolic gesture of what this individual is asking for in the lawsuit. The settlement request of 1 day of Delta's earnings is moored to a precedent whereby a defendant, company, corporation's total assets can be considered in the award of damages in a civil suit cause of action to be determined by a jury for purposes of punitive damages. But if the stories of him being the at-fault party are true, this clown and his attorney need to be dragged over the coals.
Either way, not gonna happen. Not gonna
Hell
happen.
no.
You won't get a day of Delta's full-time pay.
No. And I saw a number associated with that, and maybe, Ben, you know more about the Delta earnings than I do. But it was, millions of dollars, of course. And Ben, off mic, we were chatting a little bit. You made a good point about where this might end up going, whether the dude was in the wrong or not.
Yeah. No, you, Matt, and I were talking off air with that real quick. It feels like a negotiation tactic, which our legal beagles in the crowd tonight are very familiar with, right? You want $10, you ask for 10,000, and then you just make it easy to get out. I would posit, without us knowing the full facts other than what you have shared with us in your reporting, Noel, I would posit there is some kind of quiet settlement on the way, one way or another, especially pulling in geopolitics, right? And the arguments of discrimination based on ethnicity or nation or political identification. I also got to tell you, this reminds me, as soon as you brought this to us, this reminded me of another thing that American airlines are getting. Airlines based in the U.S. are getting in trouble for. Keep my flub there, Dylan, because there is an American Airlines, right? But
I was confused there, but I get what you mean, 100%.
Yeah. So Delta and United Airlines are currently getting sued as of last week for charging people for window seats that do not indeed come with a window.
Finally. Happens all the time where you're in that in-between spot and you're looking at plastic.
Yeah, the time has come, yeah.
No good.
They're charging you extra to get those windows. All I'm saying with that is, in their grand calculus, if there's already X amount of class action lawsuits going in, and they're getting terrible bad press for this incident, then it might move the abacus a little. I'm interested in hearing you all's thoughts. Like, do we think there might just be a quiet settlement, a shut up and go away thing at play?
Or is this a making an example thing? Or is the Palestine-Israel conflict just too hot that they don't even want to enter into the chat? They'd rather just make it go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm certain if there is malfeasance going on on the part of the individual making these accusations, that's certainly played into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To your point, Ben, setting the bar high with this a day of earnings nonsense, knowing that a settlement might still yield them $100,000 or so. But to the point of the folks chatting online and in some of these flight attendant groups, I think they're hoping that they'd make an example of this individual to show that this kind of stuff won't stand.
FAs have to put up with so much stuff, people handing you dirty diapers, literally spitting gum into your hand. It's rough.
I can't imagine. 100%. And I think all three of us mind our P's and Q's when we're on flights and try to be the absolute model passengers and are, if not overly cooperative.
Dude,
with these
you know
lovely
me.
Humans.
Yeah.
Oh boy, do I ever.
I absolutely kiss ass with flight attendants. Even
you get good information from them too, Ben. When we were on a flight together from the Middle East, you were very cordial with our lovely flight attendant, and you got some really good intel on some stuff to see and insider scoop on places to go. It's a great resource if you are kind and curious, which
and
you
respectful.
are both of those things.
Oh, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so
Never mind the extra pretzels. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get that angry message later. I can't believe your entire conversation was based on extra pretzels. The betrayal, you skybound Judas.
Well, pro tip though, they will usually give you 2 bags if you ask nicely.
Sure, yeah. If you
I was
ask
joking.
nicely, if you ask
just
nicely,
say I want cookies and pretzels. They'll give them to you. They might, and then you do exactly. It's all about yes.
And we're from Atlanta, so we have already, if this were a role-playing game or D&D, we already have like a +1 or 2 on folksy charisma because I think we all are quite diplomatic when we speak to people, and I really appreciate that. Like, you can also, Matt, by the way, just so you know, I'm sure you're aware, but when you order a drink, like your regular beverage or whatever, you can ask them for the whole can of soda. They'll give it.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Same
just
deal.
say please.
For sure. Please.
Can you ask him to put a little vodka in that?
Nope.
Would you? No?
No.
I don't know about that. I've never tried that.
But say real cheeky like that, but put a little vodka in it.
Yeah, maybe you could do that, Matt. You are a bit of a smoke show.
We should
a
all
little wink. Yeah,
we've got to test this together. Maybe we can catch the same flight to our disembarkment point or our embarkment point for our upcoming live show, our conspiracy cruise, our true crime cruise, technically with Virgin Voyages, October 10th through the 15th of this very year. Guys,
I don't think we've booked our flights yet to Miami, which I've never been to. So we should definitely run this test together.
I need you to put the Will Smith song on your Hot Summer Gold playlist, Noel.
Nah, Will Smith is dead to all of us.
He's dead.
What?
Bro, have you followed his cringe, comeback rap stuff that's going on right now?
I've heard it, but I don't follow celebrities.
I know. Okay, you're so above it, Ben. I appreciate
it's just not an area of interest.
Yeah, but you're into hip hop and you obviously are a fan of Will
saw
Smith's previous work. It's really bad. But Miami is an unequivocal banger. You're not wrong there.
Are you serious?
I like Miami. It's fun. It's clearly his best song other than the Fresh Prince theme.
Pretty good, Miami.
You guys know Will is a big fan of this show. He's listening right now, and sorry, man. Yeah, as Noel said, the newest rap just wasn't necessarily.
Do you guys remember the name of his album? Big Willie Style.
Oh, that's
right.
That did not age well.
Dylan unmuted and then muted right.
I mean, Willennium was better than Big Willie Style.
Oh, yes,
but Big Willie Style just makes me titter.
It's for the look. He doesn't light the cigar. It's very Freudian.
But he does bite it.
Again, Freudian.
Think about how tame that album title is now, though. Like, just how tame that is now.
For sure, but I honestly, do you think he was going for a penis reference? I don't think he was. I think it's an inadvertent penis reference.
Again, very Freudian.
It's hard to say, y'all. Let us know. Do you think Big Willie style is an overt reference to having, a large junk? Or is it the early 2000s, late 90s equivalent of big energy?
Yeah.
Let us know.
BWS, right before BDE.
Well, Will Smith doesn't have to cuss in his raps to sell records, but we do.
Yeah. So F him and F you too. No, actually, we love all of you. Someone wrap that one up. And I'm sorry, I promised.
Wrap that one up.
I'll wrap it up indeed. I promised a feel-good story. We won't get too much into the details because we burned a lot of time talking about Delta, but I think it was time well burnt. Japanese scientists have developed a method for removing the chromosome associated with Down syndrome, which I think is fantastic. And I probably should have led with that one because it sounds like I'm prioritizing Sky drama over this absolutely life-changing scientific development. Down syndrome is the most common chromosomal abnormality caused by the presence of an extra copy of chromosome 21, trisomy 21. This is also reading verbatim here from medtour.com reporting on this. This genetic disorder leads to physical characteristics, developmental delays, including congenital heart defects, hearing impairments, and learning and speech difficulties. But researchers at my university in Japan have made an important breakthrough. They have developed a gene editing method using CRISPR technology, the Cas9 CRISPR system, already incredible, genetic innovation, to remove that extra chromosome. The results of the study, published in the journal PNAS Nexus, describe how the CRISPR-Cas9 system used to modify DNA can remove the extra chromosome from affected cells. CRISPR uses enzymes to search for specific DNA sequences, and once a match is found, is capable of removing entire strands of genetic material. This is fantastic. This is absolute game changer. But then the question becomes, who gets it? Who gets access to this? Is it very expensive? I don't have the answer to that. It is not really part of the conversation yet. I don't think this is something that is available yet. It is just the results of a study. In addition to laboratory cell cultures, scientists tested CRISPR on skin fibroblasts taken from people with Down syndrome. The method worked, again, successfully removing the extra chromosome in several cases. However, CRISPR can also affect healthy cells, so researchers emphasize the technology is still a long way from clinical application. The research team is currently working on improving the technique so that editing only affects cells with trisomy. So, seems like a promising development, but with all this gene editing stuff, it does become a question of who gets it, who gets access to it. I yield my time. What do y'all think?
I completely agree with you. You nailed it, I think, because the issue here, and I was in conversations with some folks about this quite recently, the issue with all the phenomenal technological progress occurring now at a breakneck pace is that we're not seeing the same social progress. The milieu in which these breakthroughs exist itself is not evolving, right? These are antiquated systems. So imagine, if you will, the entire world was still a bunch of relatively inefficient monarchies. And those are the folks who discovered penicillin. How would that work out? You know what I mean? So there's a very good argument that human civilization is going to have to evolve in order to fully realize the importance and the opportunity of technological innovations. Again, I yield my time.
Casting it as a human right rather than something for the elites, immediately thinking about it from a monetary, commercial perspective. And that's the system that we live in, and it sucks. So when you're talking about evolution, we're talking about evolution of the social norms and mores of our American culture. This is not something that exists in that same form, in that same structure in other parts of the world. And it is utterly
Yeah, that's what, without the utterly effed part, that's what I'm saying, beyond
I'm agreeing with
the
you.
United States. Yeah.
You're right on point. What do you think, Matt? Stuff.
Yeah, I got hit in the faced with a story that came out as we've been recording today about a mass shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at a Catholic school where a bunch of kids were in church and a couple of tiny little kids got killed by some young 20-something that went on a shooting spree. And I'm thinking about that as we're talking about this and just thinking about...
and how unremarkable stories like that are. We've talked about this in the past as well. I think one time where something similar happened and it didn't even hit our radar for that day's strange news because it is so sadly unremarkable in this country. And we're not soapboxing here at anybody. It's just the reality of it. It sucks.
What's hitting me is just the fact that we live in a world where this kind of thing can happen, right? Where a group of researchers can put a lot of time and effort into helping so many people, and then some other person in some other part of the world can just pick up a gun and end the lives of a bunch of people. And just the feeling of it happening simultaneously is a bit overwhelming to me.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about more of that in our conversation on animal communication, which is publishing quite soon. The idea that these technological breakthroughs are occurring in civilizations and indeed in a natural environment that is increasingly imperiled. Keep in mind, folks, that nothing occurs in a vacuum. There are systemic causes to these things that are often reported as unfortunate one-off incidents. And so, as Noel said, we're not going to soapbox here, but we are well aware of these conversations that need to continue. We cannot continue these explorations without the help of you, specifically you, the most important part of the show. So thank you, as always, so much for tuning in. We are going to be back with learning to talk to animals. I think we'll finally hop off the Anunnaki saddle for a moment. We never know. We are always
They're always lurking around the corner somewhere.
Right. And we are always in the midst of a great conundrum, which is that there is so much strange news. We know we will not get to everything, but we know we must continue. So help us out in this regard in our strange enterprise to boldly go into the stuff they don't want you to know. You can give us a call on the telephone. You can always find us for an email where we'll send a random fact to you, or you can find us on the internet.
That's right. You can find us at the handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook with our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy. Get in on the conversation. Toss some memes around. Share your perspective on legal slapping by flight attendants. We want to know what you think. You can also find us at that handle on X, FKA, Twitter, and on YouTube, where we have video content galore for your perusing enjoyment. On Instagram and TikTok, however, we're Conspiracy Stuff Show, and there's more.
Yes, we have a phone number. It is 1-833-STDWYTK. It's a voicemail system. When you call in, let us know what the biggest cardboard box you've ever dealt with was.
Mm-hmm. And your cats absolutely disappear into it when it was done.
Yeah, and how did you get that thing into your recycling bin? That's not easy, ever.
Box cutter.
Yeah, it is a voicemail system, so when you call in, give yourself a cool nickname so we'll know when you call in again. And we'll put your name in the system and everything. And let us know within the message if we can use your name and message on the air. If you'd like to send us an email, we are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back. Conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.